Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotar Sata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mayi Ki Jai Jamuna Mayi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, and welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Monday, March 24th, 2025 in New York, and tonight we're starting with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, chapter 12, text number 31. What's happening is Dhruva Maharaj is going back to Godhead, and we're hearing the details now. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So text 31. Tada dundu bhayo nedur mridanga panavadaya gandharva mukya prajagu petu kusuma vrishtayaha. At that time, drums and kettle drums resounded from the sky. The chief Gandharvas began to sing, and other demigods showered flowers like torrents of rain upon Dhruva Maharaj. Om Agyanati Mirantasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyas Chakripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Text 31 has no purport, and I had intended to continue reading to text 32, but I just wanted to say that when I read this about the reaction of the denizens of higher planets to Dhruva Maharaj's going back to Godhead, it reminded me so much of an initiation ceremony where someone receives their spiritual name and the drums are beating, and if there's flowers to be showered, they are. And I should not miss this opportunity to congratulate one of our participants in this class, Gita Govinda Devi Dasi, on her recent initiation. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
If I had a drum, I'd bang on it. Moving on to text 32. Sacha svarlokamaroksyan suniting jananing dhruvaha anvasmarad aganghitva dinang yasye trivishtapam. Dhruva was seated in the transcendental airplane, which was just about to start when he remembered his poor mother, Suniti. He thought to himself, how shall I go alone to the Vaikuntha planet and leave behind my poor mother? Dhruva had a feeling of obligation to his mother, Suniti. It was Suniti who had given him the clue which had now enabled him to be personally carried to the Vaikuntha planet by the associates of Lord Vishnu. He now remembered her and wanted to take her with him. Actually, Dhruva Maharaj's mother, Suniti, was his Pata Pradarshaka Guru. Pata Pradarshaka Guru means the guru or the spiritual master who shows the way. Such a guru is sometimes called Shiksha Guru. Although Narada Muni was his Diksha Guru, initiating spiritual master, Suniti, his mother, was the first who gave him instruction on how to achieve the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is the duty of the Shiksha Guru or Diksha Guru to instruct the disciple in the right way, and it depends on the disciple to execute the process. According to Shastric injunctions, there is no difference between Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru, and generally, the Shiksha Guru later on becomes the Diksha Guru. Suniti, however, being a woman, and specifically his mother, could not become Dhruva Maharaj's Diksha Guru. Still, he was not less obliged to Suniti. There was no question of carrying Narada Muni to Vaikuntha Loka, but Dhruva Maharaj thought of his mother. Whatever plan the Supreme Personality of Godhead contemplates immediately fructifies. Similarly, a devotee who is completely dependent on the Supreme Lord can also fulfill his wishes by the grace of the Lord. The Lord fulfills his wishes independently, but a devotee fulfills his wishes simply by being dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, as soon as Dhruva Maharaj thought of his poor mother, he was assured by the associates of Vishnu that Suniti was also going to Vaikuntha-loka in another plane. Dhruva Maharaj had thought that he was going alone to Vaikuntha-loka, leaving behind his mother, which was not very auspicious because people would criticize him for going alone to Vaikuntha-loka and not carrying with him Suniti, who had given him so much. But Dhruva also considered that he was not personally the supreme. Therefore, only if Krishna fulfilled his desires would it be possible. Krishna could immediately understand his mind, and he told Dhruva that his mother was also going with him. This incident proves that a pure devotee like Dhruva Maharaj can fulfill all his desires. By the grace of the Lord, he becomes exactly like the Lord, and thus, whenever he thinks of anything, his wish is immediately fulfilled. Just briefly here, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on this verse is very short, but essentially the way he renders it is giving up this place. He's speaking as Dhruva, giving up this place that no one can attain, the abode of Vishnu. I will go to my unfortunate mother. In other words, he's not going if his mother's not going. So, and then later on in the purport, Prabhupada makes this point that I really appreciated, that a pure devotee like Dhruva Maharaj can fulfill all his desires. By the grace of the Lord, he becomes exactly like the Lord. And thus, whenever he thinks of anything, his wish is immediately fulfilled. And I wanted to pass it over to you, Maharaj, but first, of course, the natural question here, and one that has been receiving a lot of press, perhaps within the last several years specifically, is why is it that a woman cannot become a Diksha Guru since everyone is spiritually equal? That question may naturally arise in the mind of someone reading this purport, but I thought I would pass the microphone to you, if you don't mind, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thanks. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Shabdantika. Well, before we come to that point, first point is that he felt indebted to her because she was his guru. Shiksha Guru, Vartma Pradarshika or Bhatta Pradarshika Guru is also Guru, is also Shiksha Guru. And as we've heard from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru are equal and identical manifestations of Krishna. So that, first we note that. Then we note also that that it was inappropriate for her to become the Diksha Guru because specifically she was his mother. We see that Prabhupada learned the science of Krishna from his father, who was a pure devotee of Krishna, but Prabhupada didn't take initiation from his father. He could have, I suppose, or in theory he could have, but he accepted initiation from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Similarly, Saraswati Thakur didn't accept initiation from his pure devotee father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but his father directed him toward Srila Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And here we have the example of Dhruva Maharaj, who takes initiation from Narad Muni. So it seems from all this that accepting initiation from one's father or mother is not the standard in our line. Perhaps one could find some examples somewhere, but our immediate acharyas accepted initiation from someone other than the pure devotee father that they had. So that we have to note. Then, yes, she was, he didn't take initiation from her because she was a woman. Well, there's material consideration in these things. On the spiritual platform, we know there are no distinctions. Every living entity is pure in the original state, and in the state of Krishna consciousness, the man, woman doesn't really matter. Still, what shall we say? The consideration, according to the Vedic culture, is that one should not accept initiation from a woman. And we've read so many places about even Shakespeare, what is that? Frailty, thy name is woman. And we've seen examples. Of course, we've also seen frail men. But the characteristics of embodied female life are such that accepting initiation from a woman is not recommended. On the other hand, we do see examples, Janava Mata giving initiation, Ganga Mata Goswamini. So it seems that it's sometimes done, but rarely. Rarely. I don't know that there's much to add to that. That's without sort of sermonizing, or doesn't seem necessary. There's, as you said, there's been a lot of press about this for quite a bit of time. But that's, I think, if we just drawing from the purport, this is, and from a little bit of background, this is what we would see.
Mhm. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
It's also interesting in the other part of the purport that I was reading someplace, but I don't know if it's a nearby purport or I was reading in another place. Prabhupada said that a devotee doesn't depend even slightly on his own power, but depends exclusively on Krishna. So that's the same thing is sort of indicated here. That what could he do? He's not going to bring his mother back to Godhead, but if Krishna desires, then it becomes possible. And Dhruva was desiring, so Krishna desired. And there's a hand up here from Dan.
Yes, Dan. I wanted to welcome Dan to the class, and please go ahead, Dan.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj. This is a small technical question. It says Pata Pradarshika Guru is the one who showed him the pathway. I always thought it was the Vartma Pradarshika Guru. Is that the same thing, or is it different?
Yeah, they're synonymous terms. Vartma means path, and Pat means path.
Okay.
So it's the same.
I had another question.
Mm-hmm.
Since in the purport, Prabhupada was saying that whatever Dhruva desired just sort of happened, sort of the way it does with Krishna. And I was wondering, in my case, which obviously I'm not a pure devotee, and my desires are material, but it seems that sometimes Krishna just says, I think of something and then Krishna gives it to me. Like one day I was thinking, oh, I need a bucket for a trash can. And I walked out the door and there was a bucket right there, perfectly clean. And another time I was like, had this shopping cart. I was carrying a bunch of heavy stuff on it. And I thought, if I had a stick, to stick in here, I could pull it more like an ox cart. And right in front of me was a stick. So I don't know, it seems like even Krishna is even satisfying my material desires.
Yeah, from one point of view, even the materialists when their desires are fulfilled, have them fulfilled only by Krishna's mercy. Materialists sometimes have this happen to them. They're just thinking of something and then it happens. They were just desiring something and then it happens. So it's not exclusive to devotees. It can happen to the materialists too, but only by Krishna's arrangement or Krishna's sanction. We can say, well, for the materialists, it happens by their karma, but their karma also requires the sanction of Krishna. But in the case of a devotee, Krishna may personally step in and favor the devotee. What is that? Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mayi te te shuchapyami. He's equal to everyone, but he takes special interest in his devotees. So Krishna can do that. Even before we reach the pure stage.
I interpreted it that Krishna was sort of showing me, look, first of all, one thing is that I'm in control of everything. I can make a bucket appear whenever I want to. Another thing he was showing me was, you wanted a bucket, here's a bucket. Now are you happy? I could give you so much better things. Here you are wishing for a bucket.
Yes. Dhruva Maharaj wished for a kingdom. He also thought, how stupid.
It's a question from Saraswati Mata, or a comment. Let's see. Pranams Param Puji Maharaj and all the Vaishnavas. We may also be helped by many devotees in the form of instructions. So should we also be indebted in the same way by having similar considerations? I mean, Bilvamangala Thakur's Shiksha Guru was a kept woman, but I'm not sure if he had such desires to take her back to the spiritual world. I guess that's question part 1. And part 2, it says here.
Hold on 1 second, excuse me, they're banging on my door.
All right.
I brought someone to see you.
Someone to see me.
Wow. Yeah, we ran into each other on the stairs.
Just in my middle of my class.
Yeah, is you in class? Yeah, okay, so. Okay, well, but this is the Swami abode here.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Do you want to take this piece by piece and address part 1 first?
I don't know what, there's no mention of what his desires were regarding taking her back, but he offers respects to her as being his guru. So, yeah, we just don't have information what he thought about taking her back. It's a particular, what should we say, context here. Dhruva Maharaj is in an airplane, he's going back, so he's naturally thinking, what about my mother? With Bilvamangala Thakur, we don't get quite, the circumstance is not the same.
Mm.
And we're not told what he thought.
Mm-hmm.
Then
part 2, she says, also in our Vaishnava prayers, it is said that a Vaishnava is like a desire tree and can fulfill the desires of everyone. So Vaishnavas desire that every conditional soul is liberated, but this isn't fulfilled immediately. Obviously, the statement isn't an exaggeration.
Not an exaggeration, but what should we say? It's not always manifest in every case that as soon as someone desires something, the pure devotee wishes that the desire be fulfilled, and boom, it is fulfilled. It can be fulfilled. The devotee may desire, yes, let this, just like Narada, who was wishing that Prahlad Maharaj become a pure devotee. He became a pure devotee. And other examples are there. I think that's one of the ways it's mentioned that one can attain perfection simply by the good wishes of a devotee. So it's not, as you say, it's not an exaggeration, but yes. But finally, it's also up to Krishna what will happen.
Maharaj, I was considering this as it applies to our Srila Prabhupada, how he certainly desired that everyone become liberated. And his desire was so strong that his activities set into motion a chain of events to bring that sort of wholesale liberation of living entities about. But it depends on the free will of the living entities.
Yeah. Needs cooperation. The spiritual master is desiring that the disciple go back to Godhead, but some cooperation is required from the disciple side.
And Prabhin Krishna Prabhu asks a question that I also had in my mind. He says, what does poor mother mean?
She's still in the material world. Anyone who's in the material world is poor. Otherwise, she's the wife of a king. She wasn't lacking in funds. But she's still in the material worlds.
All right. And let's see. So any other questions or comments before we move on? We can move on to text number 33. I see Madhupati Prabhu is here. I was going to see if he could read our text 33. Is that possible, Prabhu?
Okay. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutala Gurudas Jayādvaita Swami Tenamine. Iti vyavasitam tasya vyavasaya surotamo darshayam asatu devim puro yanina gacchatim. The great associates of Vaikuntha Loka, Nanda and Shunanda, could understand the mind of Dhruva Maharaj. And thus they showed him that his mother Suniti was going forward in another plane. Perfect. The incident proves that the Siksha or Diksha Guru, who is a disciple who strongly executes devotional service, like Dhruva Maharaj, can be carried by the disciple even though the instructor is not as advanced. Although Suniti was an instructor to Dhruva Maharaj, she could not go to the forest because she was a woman. Nor could she execute austerities and penances as Dhruva Maharaj did. Still, Dhruva Maharaj was able to take his mother with him. Similarly, Prahlad Maharaj also delivered his atheistic father Hiranyakashipu. The conclusion is that a disciple or an offspring who is a very strong devotee can carry with him to Vaikuntha Loka either his father, mother, or Shiksha or Diksha Guru. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, if I could perfectly deliver even one soul back home, back to Godhead, I would think my mission, propagating Krishna consciousness, to be successful. The Krishna consciousness movement is spreading now all over the world. And sometimes I think that even though I am crippled in many ways, if one of my disciples becomes as strong as Dhruva Maharaj, then he'll be able to carry me with him to Vaikuntha Loka. Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurmitanena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So the associates of Lord Vishnu, Nanda and Sunanda, understanding the mind of Dhruva Maharaj, immediately shows him that his mother Suniti has taken another airplane to come to Vaikuntha Loka. And Srila Prabhupada very nicely mentions in the purport And then, yeah, that Shiksha or Diksha Guru was a disciple who strongly executes devotional service like Dhruva Maharaj, can be carried by the disciple, even though the instructor is not advanced. Or in this case, it then gives an example of just like mother of Dhruva Maharaj, because Dhruva Maharaj was executing devotional service perfectly. The mother, since she was a Path Pradarshak Guru, or even she's a mother, it's mentioned scriptures 14 generations before, 14 generations after would achieve liberation. So he could see his mother taking another airplane to go back to Vaikuntha. And similarly, Hiranyakashipu was an atheistic father of Prahlad Maharaj. Because of Prahlad Maharaj practicing devotional service, he was able to go back to Godhead, right? Because of Prahlad Maharaj. And then now, Srila Prabhupada in humility is saying, if one of my disciples becomes as strong as Dhruva Maharaj, then he'll be able to carry me with him to Vaikuntha Loka after humble position. Yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Maharaj, would you like to comment here?
It's hard for me to add to what Srila Prabhupada said. It's often appreciated and rightly so, how humbly and wonderfully Srila Prabhupada writes in this way. Hare Krishna.
Prabhin Krishna Prabhu says here, the previous purport just said that Suniti was not the Diksha Guru. And here, Prabhupada just takes it as evidence that a Diksha Guru can be delivered by such a disciple. Is it just Vaishnav humility, or such a thing could also happen?
Well, such things could happen. In Prabhupada's case, it's humility. I don't think he needed any of us to bring him back to Godhead. And I don't know. Anyway, yes, in Prabhupada's case, it's humility. But in other cases, it may be so that the disciple surpasses the guru in spiritual strength. And by the grace of the disciple, the spiritual master goes back to Godhead. Such things are possible. It's not just official that, well, he's the disciple, so he has to be less advanced. Prabhupada mentions that the father likes to see the son surpass him. The father starts a business and it does all right, and then the son really develops it and it flourishes. So the father's not envious. Oh, I could only do this much and he did that much. He's happy. We saw that with the Gandharvas also. They weren't envious. They weren't thinking, why is he going? Why aren't we going? They were joyful. Yes, he's going. So it's possible that the disciple may exceed the spiritual master in his activities for pleasing Krishna. That may happen. But in this here, we would certainly think that this was Prabhupada's humility.
More in the chat here from Saraswati Mata. She says, in the previous purport, it is stated that Krishna
Understood the mind of Dhruva.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the associates too. So is there a telepathic form of communication? And then she says, I read Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj was sad When one of his sannyasi disciples' wives took him back to householder life, we cannot imagine this immeasurable level of affection a guru has for his disciple.
As far as knowing the mind of Dhruva, there are different ways by which one can know another's mind. Prabhupada said one time face is the index of mind. So one can see that way. Or one can understand by empathy. One can understand by telepathy. Telepathy is also known in Vedic literature. So all of these, or Krishna may simply inform someone, this is how he's thinking. Krishna gives the inspiration or the direction, he must be thinking this way. So there are many different, it's not specified, but there are many different ways in which knowledge can be acquired.
Maharaj, do you have someone there with you who would like to read?
Would you like to read? Tulsi is here to read, and let me. Yes, 34.
Sanskrit also.
Yes.
Tatra tatra prasamsadbhi pati vaimanikai surai ava kiryamano dadrishe kushumai kramashograhan. While Dhruva was passing through space, he gradually saw all the planets of the solar system, and on the path he saw all the demigods in their airplanes showering flowers upon him like a rain. Purport. There is a Vedic version, Yasmin Vigyate Sarvam Evam Vigyatam Bhavati, Mundaka Upanishad 1.3, which means that by knowing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything becomes known to the devotee. Similarly, by going to the planet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can know all the other planetary systems on the path to Vaikuntha. We should remember that Dhruva Maharaj's body was different from our bodies. While boarding the Vaikuntha airplane, his body changed to a completely spiritual golden hue. No one can surpass the higher planets in a material body. But when one gets a spiritual body, he can travel not only to the higher planetary system of this material world, but even to the still higher planetary system known as Vaikuntha Loka. It is well known that Narada Muni travels everywhere, both in the spiritual and material worlds. It should be noted also that while Suniti was going to Vaikuntha Loka, she also changed her body into spiritual form. Like Shri Suniti, every mother should train her child to become a devotee like Dhruva Maharaj. Suniti instructed her son, even at the age of 5 years, to be unattached to worldly affairs and to go to the forest to search out the Supreme Lord. She never desired that her son remain at home comfortably without ever undertaking austerities and penances to achieve the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Every mother like Suniti must take care of her son and train him to become a brahmachari from the age of 5 years and to undergo austerities and penances for spiritual realization. The benefit will be that if her son becomes a strong devotee like Dhruva, certainly not only will he be transferred back home, back to Godhead, but she will also be transferred with him to the spiritual world, even though she may be unable to undergo austerities and penances in executing devotional service. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasti Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. I remember this verse from 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yata taror mulla nishe chanena tripyanti tat skanda bhujopasaka pranopaharachayatendrayanam tataiva sarvarhanam achyuteja. So when we water the root of the tree, automatically the whole tree becomes nourished. And when we give the food to the stomach, automatically the whole body becomes energized. So in the same way, Srila Prabhupada is saying, if someone knows Krishna, he knows everything, nothing will lack in his life. And we see Dhruva Maharaj, he simply surrendered to Krishna, and he became a pure devotee. And then on his way back to the spiritual world, everything followed. He had the Vaikuntha plane, he got the spiritual body, and not only him, but his mother also. So everyone connected with him also got the benefit. I explain after that. So this means all the parents, they should not hesitate to give their kids to Gurukula, to train them from the earliest age of 5 years, so that they can develop proper qualities and become pure devotees. And then the parents, they can also follow on their path and also go back to the spiritual world. Hare Krishna.
It's really notable where Prabhupada puts the emphasis here on how a mother should encourage the son. It's not for material comfort. It's not for competitive success in academics. It's not for what's the word? Cramming with academic training early on so that he can succeed in the competitive world of degree searching and career. But it's becoming Krishna conscious, becoming a brahmachari, executing austerities, and so on. And that's Prabhupada's clear emphasis. Nothing there about balance, and this is where Prabhupada's putting the emphasis. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you. Just to extend what you were just saying, I noticed also Prabhupada making this point specifically in regard to Suniti. She never desired that her son remain at home comfortably without ever undertaking austerities and penances to achieve the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You can contrast that right away with many of our experiences, those who have taken some steps to achieve the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Our mothers would have perhaps wished us to stay at home comfortably without ever undertaking austerities and penances.
Yeah, it's generally Prabhupada explains that householders think that the most important thing is economic development. And then also we should be spiritual. We should do some spiritual activities. But the most important thing is that we be well situated economically. That's the highest priority. And Prabhupada doesn't appreciate that point of view. That all right, some prosperity is wanted, but not that everything revolves around occupation and material advancement. That's incidental.
Jai, thank you. So we have time, I believe, for one more verse. It's a short.
I've talked about this before, how the ideal now is the Dharmic Karmi school. Prabhupada says that Gurukula, and all right, we understand the problems of Gurukula, but now what we want is a dharmic karmi school, a school that will prepare our children for material success, and there'll be some prayers so that it will be Krishna conscious. There'll be 10 minutes of prayers in the morning so that the child's whole life becomes spiritualized. And that's not how, and we saw that when Prabhupada was in Bombay, the life members approached him and wanted to establish a school at Juhu. But what they wanted was a government syllabus school, for basically material education with some spiritual frosting on top. And Prabhupada refused. Although they were, the money was there, but Prabhupada refused. Later, in Bombay, they did establish such a school after Prabhupada's departure. And they weren't very happy. The devotees, the management later saw that it wasn't wasn't so wonderful. I remember Bhima Prabhu telling me there was a student in the school, devotee boy, and the other boys were teasing him for having a shika, in the ISKCON school. So, and there were so many problems with the parents wanting, more and more for materials. They finally moved the school off the Juhu campus, let it be what it's going to be. But because you can't, once you've opened it, it's hard to close it. But they moved it off campus because it wasn't contributing to in the way they wished to the spiritual upliftment of the project.
Rabin Krishna Prabhu says, "Oh, more from you, Maharaj? Something more from you before I get to the comment." Praveen says, when a devotee, having a hard time reading it here. When a devotee's father was told that because of his son practicing devotional service, he would be delivered, he replied angrily, "Why should he take me? I shall take him."
Good, then do it. We're happy. It is backwards. The father should be the spiritual master and set the example and give the training, so you do it. But probably the objection is from some father, you're totally karmi father. Why should my son, I should, and that's the natural mentality of parents. They want to be in the superior position. The child should be obedient. The parents should be respected as superior, which is fine. But then they should be superior. They should execute the duties of the prime duty of a parent.
Perhaps I read the comment incorrectly because he does write when a devotee father, not a devotee's father. So the father himself in this case.
Right.
And Saraswati Mata says, a mother of the Supreme Personality of Godhead has her heart broken when her child leaves home, like Mother Sachi.
In one way broken, but in another way proud.
Maharaj, I was thinking perhaps we could pause here. We about 10 minutes left to the top of the hour, and we had discussed something that I wanted to make sure we had a sufficient crowd to bring up with, that of slightly altering the schedule of our classes from, instead of Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, making it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, leaving Fridays free for yourself to do outside programs and others also to do the same. And I was thinking if that's still to your liking, we could propose that we start doing that next week.
Yeah, we started this schedule during COVID when everyone was locked down 7 days a week. Now we've been freed from the specter of of COVID. And so there's lots of programs going on, especially around the weekends. So, and we're all, we're naturally inclined to take part. But Tuesday is not much of a program day, so it seems like a natural switch.
Right. So we had discussed whether to start it this week or next. Yovanananda Mataji says she would like that. I have been missing Harinam on Friday, so that's another good. So if we can start that next week, if that's all right, then I'm in favor of that.
Or we could start tomorrow, as you might think best.
I may not be so available tomorrow. My circumstances won't allow so much. That's why I was thinking.
Okay, next week.
Then the other question was, and this really I think might take more discussion, but we had spoken yesterday about whether we want to do 4 days straight Srimad Bhagavatam, or continue including Thursdays as Chaitanya Charitamrita reading. And you had yourself said you weren't completely committed one way or the other, but the question had arisen. So I had suggested putting it to a vote of our class participants. And I wondered if you had any further thoughts on that, or if you like that idea.
I like staying in touch with Chaitanya Charitamrita 1 day a week. I'm getting smiles here in the room. Pandava and Tulsi think that's good. I see that our attendance does drop off a little bit on Thursdays. Perhaps not everyone shares the same feeling about our Thursday class. Praveen says 1 day CC. Saraswati, I love CC. 1 day CC, Priti Purna, Madhavi. Okay.
I would add my vote to it because it's very nice going through the CC with your company, and it might not happen otherwise.
Yeah, well, it's nice for me, conversely or reciprocally. Okay, it looks like no one's saying, oh, not CC. So we keep Thursday for CC, and starting next week, we switch Friday for Tuesday. We just made up a poster here for the temple to advise the devotees here in Brooklyn that they can join this class if they like, the devotees who are on our mailing list. So now we'll have to redo the poster, but that's not a hard thing.
Hare Krishna. So if Tulsi Prabhu and Pandava Prabhu are both there, then it sounds like we have a kirtan party about to start, if that's okay.
Mao Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Vishata Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paripad Jagacharya Ashtotar Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande.
Hari Haribol. Thank you so much, Maharaj, and thank you, Tulsi and Pandava Prabhu, for the kirtan. We missed a comment by Madhupati Prabhu. He says, isn't it both ways? Rishabhadev's teaching one should not become a father or mother if they cannot deliver a child. On the other hand, putra, by definition, is one who delivers the father from going to Put, a hellish planet. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Madhupati Prabhu. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Holiness Jayādvaita Maharaj ki jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. And more mental flowers to toss at Gita Govindadasi, congratulating her on her initiation.
Thank you, Maharaj. Haribol.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna. So we'll see everyone Wednesday this week and Tuesday next week. Hare Krishna.